He tells me about him having another woman within his life when I'm speaking to him.
6 of them.
Listen, I'm not keeping count. Jennifer, where are you?
I'm in Texas.
What are you, in the break room right now?
No, I'm in my classroom because the internet is better. I came to my classroom.
Oh, good. Well, first of all, I'm glad that you're here.
Thank you.
Now, first of all, your father passed?
Yes.
Because right away he was telling me, that's my daughter, Matt, that's my daughter. And he was proud as ever to be here and to see you right now. I'm also hearing when I'm connecting with you, Jennifer, Robert. Is there Robert or Bob?
Yes.
Who's that to you?
He is my half brother. He's still living unless there's somebody I don't know
No,
about.
that's who it is, because your father's also keeping an eye on him as well, I'm hearing about. So
Okay.
the spirit will whisper names in my ear. And I'm also hearing, so that was his son?
Yes.
That would be why. Because he kept saying to me in my ear, say Bob, say Bob. And he's telling me that he's very worried about him.
I don't know, but I'll check. We're not that close.
So this is what I'm saying about how spirit checks up on everybody. He's also has an eye on his son, your half brother as well, because he's telling me that in his ear. You know, your father says to me that one of the things that he wants you to know is that his fondest memories of you were back in the day, back when you were younger, back when you were a little girl, because he's acknowledging that. And your father says to me that when he was alive, he loved kids here in this world, because I'm seeing kids running all around him. But also when I'm connecting with them, Jennifer, your dad was a little bit redneck when I'm connecting with him on the other side, because I'm connected with him and I'm seeing all guns in front of me. How do you connect with the guns?
Well, my biological father was quite the gun fanatic, and my grandfather who raised me was a sharpshooter in the military.
Shut the hell up. So I'm talking about your father, your biological father.
Okay, yeah.
He's showing me him in heaven. He's cleaning off his guns. And I'm like, sir, like, what the hell are you doing? He goes, oh no, this was my collection he's showing me. When he was
That's
here.
right.
And it's crazy because he shows me that he's been watching over you from the other side. So here's what's interesting. Your dad showed me there was this closeness that the two of you had, and then I saw the separation, and then I see you getting close again. So So he showed me the relationship being back and forth. Did you get back in touch with him before he had died? Did he show me a connection before his passing?
A few years before he died, and then we split again.
Listen, that's what your father wants to talk about, because he said to me, Matt, he goes, I need to let her know that I do love and care about her. And more importantly, that even though you might feel that you didn't get to say goodbye to your father, he says to me that that time that you reconnected with him is still what he holds on to in his heart, because he showed me those memories when I'm speaking to him. He tells me about him having another woman within his life when I'm speaking to him.
6 of them.
Listen, I'm not keeping count. I'm just telling you what he's telling me. And he says to me, Matt, he goes, this was my biggest downfall. As he shows me within his life, he would go from relationship to relationship to relationship. And he says to me that you were so upset because every time your dad went into a new relationship, you felt like you took the back seat. It's like your dad forgot about everything and just went towards that. Do you understand that? And your father says to me, Matt, he goes, I'm going to let my daughter know. He goes, and I'm sorry for being that selfish. So I'm asking him, why did you do that? And your dad just said to me, he goes, I expected other people to take care of me my whole life because I never took care of anybody else. He always needed a woman within his life, he's telling me, to take care of him. Do you understand that?
Absolutely.
He says, and Matt, that's just how I was. And I got to tell you something, like, this man, your dad, didn't do like anything here in this world. Like absolutely anything. Like even to the point where he's showing me, he goes, Matt, he goes, I wish I could take the credit. For example, he's showing me, I don't know if it was your mom or one of his other wives, I'm pretty sure it was your mother, because that's why he's showing me this, writing out birthday cards and certain cards pretending it was him.
Yep.
I'm seeing things like that. I see presents that were bought. He didn't know how to buy a birthday gift. He didn't know how to buy a Christmas gift. He didn't know how to write out a card. And he says, Matt, he goes, the women in my life took care of everything. I never did a thing.
True.
He says, the only thing, you're going to get upset. So I don't say this, okay?
No, I won't.
All right. Listen, I'm having a very hard seat today. Your loved ones are making me say all this stuff, and I don't like to say it. But your father goes to me, goes, Matt, he goes, the only thing I had was my good looks, he says to me. He thought he was so good looking. He's showing me pictures of him, and he's going, Matt, he goes, this is what I had going for me. Was that your father? Was that your father?
That was my father.
Okay, listen, I can't change him. I'm just telling you what he's telling me.
I know.
He goes to me, Matt, he goes, but I got to tell you something. He says, I may have had all these women. He goes, I may have had he said, I may have had my good looks. He says, but I left this world with nothing.
It's true.
He says, because when I died, he says, I had nobody there for me.
True.
He says, and more importantly, he says, nobody even recognized me as a father. He says, because everybody moved on with their lives. He says, and I was left with nothing. So know that your dad says to me, he goes, Matt, there wasn't even anything that could give to her. He talks about dying penniless here in this world. And he says to me, for that, I am sorry. He says to me, goes, Matt goes, I never tried once, he says, to be there for my kids.
Never.
He says, I would find a new woman. He goes, and I was always, goes, my whole life I lived, what's in it for me? What's in it for me? What's in it for me? He's showing me that. Oh, is it, he would meet a new person. Right away, he would move in with them. It's funny because here in life, we go through what's called life cycles, okay? Meaning that we're here on this earth to learn things. And we have spirit guides that help us to learn things. We're all assigned to them at birth. And your dad was in this vicious life cycle. And you saw this. Because when he was alive here in this world, he would do the same thing again and again and again. He would meet a woman. Immediately, he would move in with her. Immediately, they would get married. Immediately, he would start spending her money, start spending her kids, doing all these different things. Then they would divorce. Then he would immediately meet somebody new. If not before they were divorced, move in with that person. Come on in. Do you understand that?
Yes.
And your father said to me, listen, because of that, he says, I didn't learn anything within my life. He says to me, because when we go through those life cycles like that, and these things keep happening and happening and happening, it's because there's something that here in life that we have to learn from. It's the heaven's way of trying to give us another chance, getting us to take responsibility, getting us to change our life. But instead, your dad didn't want to live his life. He wanted other people to live it for them. He says, so Matt, he says, please let my daughter know that I am sorry. He says, and more importantly, he's coming through right now to let you know, thank you for everything that you had done. Because even though, your dad, had different women and different siblings and so on and so forth, he talks about the way that, you would try to keep in touch with everybody. You tried to create your own family and unify everybody. And he sees that. He says, and Matt, that was something that I should have done here in this world, but I didn't.
Thank you.
So no, I gotta tell you that he is one of the ones that's watching over you from the other side. And listen, I know what you're thinking in your head because your dad's telling me, he's like, Matt, she's saying right now, I don't want him watching over me. I don't want him watching over me. You're saying it in your head.
I can take all the help I can get, so fine.
But listen, your father says to me, when souls go to the other side, they have to come to terms with the things that they did wrong here in this world. That's how he's able to have this conversation. But you know what? Your father tells me that growing up, you've always been like a sponge. You've always helped out everybody around you. And more importantly, that's the reason why you're such an amazing teacher here today. Because he tells me that you try to give the kids what they are not getting at home because you go through that and you say that every day. Is that not correct?
Yes.
So your father says to me that the one thing that he wants to let you know is that you're making up for all the wrong that he did within life. Because he did that to you, and because that had an effect on you, you give children so much to look forward to each and every day because you know what they're going through because you had to live through it. So know that your father says to me, I want you to know in spirit, he says, that even without my help, he says, you've become, he says, the woman, he says, that you were meant to be. You're living your life path. And your father says to me, I'm blessed, he says, to know you as my daughter. He says, even though I don't deserve the title as dad.
Thank you.
All right. I really hope this helped you because your dad had been wanting to talk to you for quite some time.
I was afraid he was going to come through.
Well, you might have been afraid, but are you happy now? You can tell you're not happy. You can tell, are you happy or you're not happy?
I'm happy. Thank you.